Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Big news out of Washington today. President Trump has just signed a brand new executive order, and people are already saying it could change the way America works in some pretty major ways. It touches on crime, public safety, free speech, and even how the federal government interacts with states and cities. Now, depending on where you stand, these changes might sound like exactly what's needed, or they might sound like a step too far. Either way, they're going to affect people all across the country, not just in big cities, but in smaller towns too. So let's talk about what this really means. The first part of the order is focused on crime and something called cashless bail. If you're not familiar, that's when someone who's been arrested doesn't have to pay money to get out of jail before their trial. It was originally designed to make the system fairer for people who couldn't afford bail. But now, the order threatens to withhold federal funding from places that keep using it. President Trump says it's letting dangerous people back on the streets, while critics argue the numbers don't really support that claim. This is one of those debates where facts, feelings, and politics all get mixed together, and that's why it's striking such a nerve. Another part of this order is already sparking headlines: the rule about burning the American flag. According to this change, anyone caught burning the flag could face up to a year in jail, no early release. Trump says it's about protecting the symbol of the nation, but here's the catch. The Supreme Court has ruled in the past that flag burning is protected free speech. So now we're heading straight into a legal battle. On one hand, you've got people who feel strongly about respecting the flag, and on the other, you've got people saying this is an attack on free expression, and the courts are going to have to figure out which side of that argument holds up. Then there's the National Guard. This might be the biggest piece of all. The order calls for new National Guard units in every state, specially trained for crime response and crowd control. In Washington, D.C., thousands of guardsmen have already been deployed. Some are patrolling neighborhoods, and in many ways, the city's police force has been pulled under federal control. For supporters, this is about making streets safer. For critics, it's about the federal government stepping in where local leaders should have authority. And that question, how much power should the federal government really have, has been a debate since the very beginning of this country. What's also interesting is how much attention Trump is giving to Washington, D.C. itself. There's a new task force focused on cleaning up the Capitol, reducing crime, and restoring what he calls the most beautiful capital in the world. Reports say carjackings and robberies are already dropping, though some people argue that those numbers might just be a short-term dip. Still, even temporary relief can feel like a big deal to families living in neighborhoods that have seen a lot of crime. So what does all of this mean for regular people? Well, it depends on what you value most. If safety is your top concern, you might welcome tougher rules and more federal involvement. If freedom and local control matter more to you, these moves might feel like overreach. The truth is, both sides have real concerns. It's not as simple as good or bad. It's about how much we're willing to trade between safety and liberty. And this is where things get even bigger. These executive orders aren't just about what's happening today. They're setting the stage for long legal battles, new political debates, and possibly a new balance between federal and local power in America. If the courts uphold these changes, we could be looking at a new normal, where the federal government steps into local issues far more often than before. And if the courts strike them down, it'll raise huge questions about what limits a president really faces. So here's the question for you. Do you think these changes are going to make America safer, or do you think they're pushing us down a path where freedoms get chipped away little by little? Would you feel reassured if the National Guard showed up in your city tomorrow, or would you feel uneasy about it? Let me know in the comments, because this is one of those moments where everyone's perspective is different, and your voice matters.